Hello, I will read from the Financial Times, who chose a different title to the one that I chose, for speed. China snubs US surplus plan ahead of G20 by Alan Beetle. China's curtly dismissed a US proposal to address global economic imbalances, presaging a potential showdown at next week's G20 meeting in Seoul. Q Tanakai, a deputy for foreign minister and one of China's leading negotiators at the G20, said on Friday that the US plan for limited currency account surpluses and deficits to 4% of gross domestic product hark back to the days of planned economies. We believe a discussion about a current account target misses the whole point, he added in the first comment by a senior Chinese official on the subjects. If you look at the global economy, there are many issues that merit more attention. For example, the question of printing more money, i.e. quantitative easing, or QE2. Would be the second round of quantitative easing by the US Federal Reserve, those evil bastards. China's opposition to the proposal, which made some progress at a G20 finance meeting last month, came amid a rumble of protests from around the world at the US Federal Reserve's plan to pump an extra $600 billion into the financial markets. Officials from China, the EU represented by Germany, and South Africa on Friday added their voices to a chorus of complaint that the Fed's return to the so-called quantitative easing would create instability and worsen imbalances by triggering surges of capital into other currencies. Surges of capital mean flows of capital goods, tangible goods such as machine tools that build other machines. Tim Geitner, US Treasury Secretary, has proposed using what the US refers to as current account guidelines to accelerate global rebalancing, partly as a way of changing the debate away from the simple pressing China to allow faster appreciation of the renminbi, that's the Chinese currency, or the yuan as it's also known. But on Thursday and Friday, governments focused on the impact of the Fed's Reserve's actions. Wolfgang Schäuble, German foreign finance minister representing the EU at these meetings of the G20, said US foreign policy is clueless. It's not only that the Americans haven't pumped enough liquidity into them, it's not enough that the Americans have just pumped enough liquidity into the market already. Now they say they want to pump more into the market, and that is not going to solve their problems. Pravin Gordhan, Finance Minister of South Africa, a key member of the emerging market bloc, said the decision undermines the spirit of multilateralism, cooperation among the G20 leaders, which they have fought so hard to maintain during the current crisis, and ran counter to the pledge made by the G20 finance ministers to refrain from uncoordinated responses. The US Treasury declined to comment further on Friday. Usman Manding of the Ashmore Investment Management and former senior International Monetary Fund official said, that's the IMF, said the G20 will also have to show in Seoul that it can work on the issues or its very existence will be in question. So in the long and short of it is that the US and has been told by China and the EU to go fuck themselves. Basically, it's not an economic way of saying it, but they've basically been told that if they do any more quantitative easing, then everybody's going to retaliate and there's going to be another currency war. Why is the Federal Reserve doing this? They only have their own selves to blame. They caused this crisis through an excessive amount of quantitative easing, and their solution to the crisis, more quantitative easing. So we're going to have a higher gold price, more instability, and more money printed that will go into the Islamic banking system for the Bin Ladens to buy more weapons to kill US troops. It's not only that the Americans are training the Saudi Arabian army, where many of those men will then go off and fight for Al Qaeda and the Bin Ladens. They are now giving them more money to buy better weapons to fight and kill our own troops. What is going on? Why are we funding our own destruction? That you'll have to look at my other videos to find the answer for. But thank you for listening, and I'm sorry about the title, but it's the only real way to get the message across, isn't it? Thanks. Peace.